They sent humans to a Class 0 Deathworld. It didn't go as they expected. 1. The massive council chamber fell silent as Commander Lisa Warren stepped forward. Her black uniform stood out among the colorful robes and varied body shapes of the alien representatives. Hundreds of eyes from dozens of species watched her. Some blinked with multiple eyelids. Others extended on stalks for a better view. Lisa kept her face calm. Inside, she felt a mix of pride and amusement. These aliens thought they were sending her team on a suicide mission. They had no idea what humans were truly capable of. "Commander Warren," said Ambassador Zix Toril, his blue skin shimmering under the lights. His voice translator made his words sound flat and mechanical. "Your species has volunteered for a task that has claimed 17 previous expeditions. Are you certain you wish to proceed?" Lisa nodded. "My team and I are ready, Ambassador." The massive viewing screen behind the council table lit up with images of planet GX-591. Rocky mountains with sharp peaks, oceans that looked like they were boiling, storms that could tear apart metal ships, lightning that never stopped. The council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats as they looked at the images. GX-591 is classified as a Class 0 Deathworld, continued the ambassador, his eye stalks twisted with concern. No sentient species has ever established a permanent settlement there. The atmospheric conditions alone have killed most explorers within days. From her position behind Lisa, Dr. Olivia Grant coughed quietly to hide her laugh. The aliens had no idea that Earth itself was actually a Class 0 world. Humans had simply never corrected their new galactic friends when they assumed Earth was only a Class 2. "We understand the risks," Lisa said. "Humans evolved in extreme conditions. We believe we are uniquely adapted for this mission." A representative from the Volrak species leaned forward, his armored plates clicking together. "Your confidence is admirable, Commander, but perhaps misplaced. The daily temperature swings on GX-591 range from 130 degrees to -40. The gravity is 1.3 times what your species evolved in. The atmosphere contains elements toxic to most carbon-based life forms." Lisa smiled. "Sounds like a typical year in Minnesota, just a bit warmer." The joke was lost on the aliens, who looked at each other in confusion. "Your team will consist of 5 members?" asked the Volrak's representative. "Yes. Myself, Dr. Olivia Grant, our medical officer, Sergeant Maria Rodriguez, security expert, Jack Miller, environmental engineer, Dr. Alan Hayes, xenobiologist, and Kyle Peters, our communications specialist." The council members studied the human team. To them, the 5 humans looked nearly identical, all with the same basic body, shape, all relatively tall and lean compared to most council species. The aliens couldn't see the diverse skills and backgrounds that made each team member special. "The mission parameters are simple," said Ambassador Zix Toril. "Establish a functional outpost on GX-591 and survive for 1 standard galactic year. If you succeed, Earth will be granted advanced technology and expanded territory rights within Council space." What went unsaid was that no one expected the humans to succeed. This was a polite way for the Council to deal with the aggressive, newcomer species that had recently joined galactic society. Send them on an impossible mission, watch them fail, and then the humans would understand their place in the hierarchy. "We accept the parameters," Lisa said. "And when we succeed, the Council will honor its promise." The meeting ended quickly after that. As they left the council chambers, Lisa's team gathered around her in the wide hallway. The ceiling arched, 30 feet above them, designed to accommodate species much larger than humans. "Did you see their faces?" Maria asked, her brown eyes bright with excitement. "They think we're going to die out there." "They have no idea what we're capable of," said Alan, adjusting his glasses. "Their species evolved on worlds with stable climates and few predators. They've engineered away all their natural adaptations for survival. Which is exactly why they need us," Lisa said. "The Council has been trying to establish a presence on GX-591 for decades. Something valuable is there." "The official report says mineral deposits," Jack noted. "Rare elements not found on most habitable worlds." "That's not worth losing 17 expeditions," Olivia said, shaking her head. There's something else they're not telling us. Kyle, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. I've been monitoring their communications channels. There are references to artifacts and ancient technology in their encrypted messages. Lisa wasn't surprised. The council had been secretive from the start. Whatever's there, we're going to find it, and we're going to use it to make sure humans are never underestimated again. They reached their quarters, a suite of rooms modified to Earth standards. While the accommodations were comfortable, Lisa knew her team was eager to begin their real mission. Pack for hell, she told them. We leave in 48 hours. 2 days later, they stood in the launch bay beside their ship, the USS Horizon. It was small compared to the massive council vessels, but it was sturdy and packed with Earth's best technology, plus a few modifications the council didn't know about. Ambassador Zix Taral came to see them off. His eye stalks drooped, and what Lisa had learned was an expression of sadness or regret. Your species shows remarkable courage, he said. We will honor your sacrifice. Lisa shook his hand, careful not to squeeze too hard on his delicate bones. It's not a sacrifice if we come back alive, Ambassador. The loading ramp closed behind them. Inside the ship, the team strapped into their positions. The launch countdown began. Everyone ready? Lisa asked, looking around at her team. Born ready, Maria replied, her hand steady on the weapons console. All systems green, Jack reported from engineering. Medical bay prepped, said Olivia. Communications online, Kyle confirmed. Xenobiology lab secured, Alan added. Lisa nodded and opened the ship-wide channel. This is Commander Warren. Launch sequence initiated. Next stop, the impossible planet. The Horizon lifted smoothly from the launch pad. Through the viewports, Lisa could see the council representatives watching. Their postures showed they were already mourning the humans they believed were flying to their deaths. Little do they know, Lisa murmured as the ship accelerated toward orbit. We're just going to a place that feels like home. The Horizon broke free of the space stations, gravity well, and set course for GX 591. The journey would take 3 weeks at maximum speed, 3 weeks for the team to prepare for conditions that had killed 17 other expeditions. But unlike those others, humans knew what it meant to evolve on a world that tried to kill you every day. They knew what it meant to adapt and survive. Against all odds, they were going to a Class 0 Deathworld, and they were going to make it their own. They sent humans to a Class 0 Deathworld. It didn't go as they expected. The USS Horizon shuddered violently as it entered the atmosphere of GX 591. Lightning flashed outside the viewports, each bolt bigger than any seen on Earth. The ship dropped through thick cloud layers that glowed with strange energy. Metal groaned as the hull heated up. This is some welcome party, Jack said from his station. His hands moved quickly over the controls, making small adjustments to keep them from burning up. Lisa gripped her command chair tightly. Status report. Hull temperature rising but still within safe limits, Jack replied. Atmospheric thrusters, at maximum. Sensors show winds at 180 miles per hour, Olivia added. Atmospheric composition is similar to Earth during the Jurassic period. Oxygen levels at 30%. That's going to make things interesting, Alan said. Higher oxygen means more energy in our bodies, but also more intense fires if we're not careful. The ship broke through the cloud layer. Below them spread a landscape that looked both alien and strangely familiar. Jagged mountains with sharp peaks rose from vast plains. In the distance, a dark ocean churned with massive waves. Lightning continued to flash across the sky, striking the tallest peaks. Looks like home, Maria said with a grin. Reminds me of the Rocky Mountains, just with more lightning. Landing zone is 2 miles ahead, Kyle reported. Scanners show a relatively flat area between those ridgelines. Lisa nodded. Take us in. Everyone prepare for rough landing. The Horizon descended toward a wide valley that offered some protection from the fierce winds. As they got closer to the ground, they could see the surface was covered with what looked like reddish moss or lichen, small creatures scattered away from their approach. With a final shudder and a loud thump, the ship touched down on GX 591. For a moment, Everyone sat in silence, listening to the howl of the wind outside and the ping of particles hitting the hull. "We're here," Lisa said finally. "First human footsteps on a Class 0 world, officially anyway." She smiled at her private joke. Earth was technically the first Class 0 world humans had walked on. "Environmental readings are coming in," Jack reported. "Outside temperature is 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Gravity at 1.3 g, just as expected. Wind speed at 75 miles per hour, but our landing zone is providing some shelter." "Any immediate threats?" Lisa asked. Alan checked his biological sensors. "Nothing large showing up on scans within a mile. Plenty of small life forms, though. The moss-like growth outside is everywhere." "The council provided us with environmental suits," Olivia reminded them. "They insisted no species could survive direct exposure to the atmosphere." Maria snorted. 10 credit says I can breathe just fine out there." "No bet," Alan replied. "The air is actually less toxic than some Earth cities I've visited." Lisa stood up. "Let's suit up, but we'll test the atmosphere properly before anyone takes off their helmet. We follow protocols at first." The team moved to the airlock chamber, where 5 bulky environmental suits waited. The suits were top council technology, designed to protect against extreme temperatures, toxic air, and high radiation. They looked impressive but felt clumsy to the humans. "These things will slow us down," Maria complained as she struggled into hers. "Just wear it for the first outing," Lisa ordered. "We'll run our own tests, then decide what equipment actually makes sense." Once suited up, they gathered at the airlock. A camera drone hovered nearby, ready to transmit their first steps back to the council. Lisa knew there would be hundreds of alien scientists watching, all expecting to see the humans struggle or die. "Communications check," Kyle said. "Everyone reading me clearly." The team confirmed their comms were working. Lisa took a deep breath. "Open the airlock," she commanded. With a hiss, the outer door slid open. Immediately, a blast of hot air rushed in, carrying red dust particles that swirled around them. The roar of the wind was loud even through their helmets. Lisa stepped out first, her boots sinking slightly into the reddish ground. The gravity pulled at her body, making each step require more effort than on Earth. But it wasn't unbearable. In fact, it felt similar to wearing a heavy backpack during training. "First step on GX591, she said for the benefit of their audience. "Surface is stable. Movement is possible but requires extra effort due to gravity." The rest of the team followed her out. They spread out slightly, each examining different aspects of their landing site. "Temperature readings inside my suit are climbing," Jack reported. "These suits aren't as efficient as they claimed." Alan was already collecting samples of the red moss. "This is incredible. This organism has adapted to constant lightning strikes by developing a way to channel electricity through its structure." Maria walked a short distance away, testing the terrain. "Ground feels solid enough to build on. Those ridges will provide good protection from the worst storms." Olivia monitored their vital signs. Everyone's heart rate is elevated, but that's expected with the higher gravity and oxygen levels. Lisa looked up at the sky. Dark clouds raced overhead, occasionally splitting open with lightning. In the distance, she could see what looked like a permanent storm system, spinning like a hurricane that never ended. "Kyle, what are you picking up on communications?" she asked. "Nothing artificial," he replied. "But there's a lot of electromagnetic activity. The planet itself seems to be generating signals." Lisa nodded. It was time for their first test. She reached up and carefully unsealed her helmet. The team watched her closely. "Commander," Olivia warned, "the council data says the atmosphere contains toxic levels of sulfur compounds." "Let's find out," Lisa replied. She lifted the helmet off. The hot air hit her face immediately. It smelled strongly of ozone and something like rotten eggs, but it wasn't overwhelming. She took a careful breath, then another. "Air is breathable," she announced. "Smells like a volcanic area on Earth, but nothing we can't handle." One by one, the others removed their helmets too. Maria grinned as she took a deep breath. "Smells like New Jersey on a bad day," she joked, "but I've breathed worse." They knew the council observers would be shocked. No other species had been able to breathe the air of GX591 without filtration. "Let's set up the basic shelter," Lisa ordered. We need to establish our position before nightfall. Temperatures will drop quickly once the sun sets. As they worked to unload equipment from the ship, a distant roar echoed across the valley. Everyone paused, looking toward the sound. What was that? Kyle asked. Alan checked his scanner. Large life form, about 3 miles away and moving in this direction. Very large. Maria reached for her weapon. Sounds like we're about to meet the locals. Lisa smiled. This was what humans did best, adapt and survive. Whatever was coming their way, they would be ready. Welcome to day 1 on our new home, she said. Let's show the council what humans can really do. They sent humans to a Class 0 Deathworld. It didn't go as they expected. Part 3 1 week had passed since the humans landed on GX 591. The Galactic Council monitoring team watched in stunned silence as new data came in from the planet's surface. The main viewing screen showed Lisa's team working outside their base camp, without environmental suits, wearing only light protective clothing. This is impossible, said the Valexian observer, his scales changing color with agitation. The atmosphere alone should have poisoned them by now. Yet they thrive. Ambassador Zix Toril replied quietly. They have already established a perimeter and built structures from local materials. On GX 591, morning sunlight streamed through the transparent roof panels of the main shelter. The humans had constructed it using a combination of materials from their ship and resources found on the planet. Large support beams came from a sturdy plant similar to bamboo, but with natural fire resistance. The walls incorporated the red moss that grew everywhere, which they discovered had excellent insulation properties. Lisa sat at the command table with her team, reviewing their progress. Despite the harsh conditions, they all looked healthy and energetic. The higher oxygen levels in the atmosphere had actually increased their stamina after a brief adjustment period. Alan, what's the status on your biological survey? Lisa asked. Alan pushed his glasses up and grinned. Better than expected. Many of the organisms here are similar to extremophiles on Earth. I've identified bacteria that are nearly identical to what we find in volcanic hot springs. The red moss has amazing properties. It absorbs electrical energy from the lightning and converts it to chemical energy. Could we use that for power generation? Jack asked, leaning forward with interest. Already working on it, Alan replied. I think we can create biobatteries that would supplement our solar panels. Lisa nodded approvingly. Olivia, how is everyone's health holding up? The higher gravity is actually having positive effects, Olivia said. Bone density is increasing, and muscle mass is up by 12%. The oxygen-rich air means more efficient blood circulation. As long as we're careful about sun exposure and maintain our water purification system, we should have no major health concerns. What about those predators? Lisa asked, turning to Maria. 2 days earlier, they had encountered the source of the roaring sound. 6-limbed creatures with thick armor plates and multiple rows of teeth had approached their camp. They stood 7 feet tall at the shoulder and moved with surprising speed. Maria smiled confidently. They keep their distance now. After I demonstrated our weapons during that night attack, they seem to have recognized us as a threat. I've observed them watching the camp from ridgelines, but they no longer approach within weapon range. I think they're intelligent, Kyle added. They use coordinated hunting patterns and have some form of communication. The sounds they make follow specific patterns that repeat. Lisa considered this information. Keep detailed records of any interactions. The council prohibited us from bringing primitive ballistic weapons, but I'm glad we ignored that particular rule. Speaking of the council, Kyle said, I've established a stable communication channel despite the magnetic storms. Actually, the storms boost our signal if we modulate on the right frequency. We're due for a check-in tomorrow. Good, Lisa replied. They'll be expecting reports of our struggles. Let's show them how well we're adapting instead. That afternoon, a violent quake shook the region. The ground rolled beneath their feet like ocean waves. Part of their shelter collapsed as a fissure opened in the valley floor. Lisa found herself thrown to the ground as the shaking intensified. Around her, the MIE team scrambled for stable positions. Hot gas vented from the new crack in the earth, carrying a strong sulfur smell. When the shaking finally stopped, they emerged cautiously to assess the damage. "Everyone okay?" Lisa called out, doing a quick head count. They had minor cuts and bruises, but nothing serious. Their shelter had partially collapsed, with the eastern wall completely gone. "That was at least a magnitude 8, Jack said, scanning the area with his instruments. "And I'm detecting more seismic activity building. This planet has an incredibly active crust." Instead of panic, the team quickly organized into repair groups. They had experienced earthquakes on Earth. This was just another challenge to overcome. Nightfall. They had not only repaired the damaged shelter but improved it. Jack had designed a flexible foundation system that could better absorb ground movement. They incorporated a nearby cave into their design, creating a natural bunker that would provide extra protection. The council would have evacuated after that quake, Maria commented as they sat around their heating unit that evening. The temperature outside had dropped to -20 degrees, but inside their shelter, it remained comfortable. The council designs rigid structures that shatter under stress, Jack replied. They don't understand that flexibility and adaptation are the keys to survival. The next morning, Kyle set up the communication array for their scheduled check-in with the council. The main screen flickered to life, showing Ambassador Zix Taral and several other alien representatives. "Greetings, Commander Warren," the ambassador said. His eye stalks were extended fully, and what the humans had learned was an expression of surprise. "We are pleased to see you alive." "Thank you, Ambassador," Lisa replied calmly. "We've had an interesting first week. Our sensors detected a major seismic event in your region," one of the other council members said. "We assumed your shelter would be destroyed." "We had some damage," Lisa admitted, "but we've rebuilt stronger than before. The local materials are quite useful once you understand their properties." She proceeded to give them a full report, watching with hidden amusement as the council members' expressions shifted from surprise to disbelief. "The adaptive capacity of your species is unsettling," the ambassador said finally. "No other expedition has survived past the first lunar cycle. We find it rather peaceful here, actually," Lisa replied with a slight smile. "Reminds us of camping trips back home." After the transmission ended, the team gathered for their daily planning session. "They still don't get it, do they?" Maria asked. "They think we're just enduring this place, not making it our home." "That gives us an advantage," Lisa pointed out. "They underestimate us, which means they won't interfere with our real mission." Alan looked up from his data tablet. "Speaking of our real mission, I've detected unusual energy readings from the northern mountains. They don't match any natural geological formation." "Artificial structures?" Lisa asked, immediately interested. "Possibly," Alan replied. "The patterns are too regular to be natural." Lisa studied the map where Alan had marked the location. "That's our next expedition, then. If there's something valuable on this planet, that's where we'll find it." "The council said no other species has established a permanent presence here," Jack said thoughtfully. "But they didn't say no one has ever been here." Lisa nodded. "Exactly. Tomorrow we prepare for a journey north. Let's find out what secrets this uninhabitable planet is hiding." Outside their shelter, another lightning storm began. The team watched through the transparent roof as electricity danced across the sky. What the council viewed as deadly hazards, the humans saw as natural wonders. Where other species had failed, humans would thrive. The Class 0 Deathworld was turning out to be exactly what they had trained for all their lives. They sent humans to a Class 0 Deathworld. It didn't go as they expected. Part 4, the journey to the northern mountains, took 3 days. Lisa led the team across rugged terrain that would have broken most alien explorers. They traveled in a modified, ground vehicle they had assembled from parts of their landing craft. Jack had reinforced it to withstand the planet's harsh conditions. Temperature dropping fast, Olivia reported as they climbed higher into the mountains. Outside reading is now -30 degrees. Inside the vehicle, the humans were comfortable, in their thermal gear. What the Council species would consider deadly cold, the humans recognized as similar to winter in northern Earth regions. Energy readings are getting stronger, Alan said, watching his scanner. Whatever is up there, it's putting out a lot of power. The path narrowed as they entered a steep canyon. Walls of dark rock rose on both sides, streaked with veins of glowing blue mineral. Lightning flashed overhead almost constantly, creating a strange, pulsing light. "Stop here," Lisa ordered as they reached a point where the canyon widened into a circular area. "We'll continue on foot." They exited the vehicle, each carrying specialized equipment. Maria took point, her weapon ready. The gravity seemed even stronger here, pulling at their bodies as they climbed a steep path that wound up the canyon wall. "Look at these rock formations," Jack said, pausing to examine the canyon wall. "They're too regular to be natural." Lisa touched the surface. What had appeared to be natural rock was actually a constructed material, weathered by centuries of storms. This whole canyon might be artificial. They continued climbing until they reached a large plateau. Before them stood an entrance cut into the mountainside. The opening was a perfect arch, 20 feet high and just as wide. Strange symbols were carved around its edge, still visible despite centuries of erosion. "Definitely not natural," Alan whispered, his voice filled with excitement. "These are ruins of an advanced civilization." Maria scanned the entrance with her tactical sensors. No signs of movement or life forms inside, but there's a steady energy signature coming from deep within. "Let's proceed carefully," Lisa decided. "Kyle, maintain communications with base camp. If we lose contact, the backup team should be ready to come find us." They activated their light sources and entered the mountain. The tunnel inside was smooth and straight, leading steadily downward. The walls were made of the same material as the canyon, a composite substance that felt like stone but had the strength of metal. After walking for nearly a mile downward, the tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber. Their lights couldn't reach the distant walls or ceiling. The air was still and surprisingly warm. "This is incredible," Alan breathed. An entire underground complex. Their lights revealed structures that resembled buildings, arranged in concentric circles around a central platform. The architecture was unlike anything in council records, all smooth curves and spiraling forms that seemed to flow like liquid frozen in time. "Spread out and search," Lisa ordered. "Stay in pairs and maintain contact." Alan and Olivia moved toward what appeared to be a research facility. Jack and Maria explored structures that might have been living quarters. Lisa and Kyle approached the central platform. "These structures are composed of materials that should have degraded millennia ago," Alan reported over the comm link. "Whatever built them understood how to work with this planet, not against it." Lisa stepped onto the central platform. As her foot touched it, lines of blue light suddenly appeared, spreading outward like a web across the floor. The entire chamber began to illuminate as systems activated throughout the complex. "Everyone freeze," Lisa commanded. "Something's happening." A holographic display appeared above the platform, showing images of the planet and strange symbols flowing like water. Kyle studied them intently. "This technology is incredible," he said. "It's still functional after who knows how long." "Can you make sense of it?" Lisa asked. Kyle nodded slowly. "Some of these symbols are similar to mathematical constants. Universal concepts. I think I can begin to decode their language." In the research area, Alan called excitedly, "You need to see this. We've found working technology." Lisa and Kyle joined the others. Alan was examining wall panels that hummed with energy, displays showing data that still flowed across screens. "Look at these systems," Jack marveled. "They don't fight the planet's magnetic storms. They harness them for power. The lightning we see isn't just a weather phenomenon. It's part of a planetary-scale energy collection system." Lisa realized suddenly why the Council had been so determined to establish a presence on this world. They didn't send us here just to test human endurance. They sent us because they couldn't access this technology themselves. "These builders," Alan said, examining a display that showed biological data, "they weren't alien to this world. According to this, they evolved here. They adapted to these conditions naturally, just as we adapted to Earth. A native intelligent species on a Class 0 world, Olivia said. The Council probably doesn't believe that's possible. Kyle had been working with an interface panel. I've managed to activate their main data system. There's a record of who they were and what happened to them. A new hologram appeared, showing bipedal beings with features that seemed almost familiar. They were taller than humans, with more slender builds, but their basic form was surprisingly similar. They called themselves the HYF, Kyle translated. They evolved on this world over millions of years, but they didn't die out or go extinct. He looked up, his expression amazed. They left. Voluntarily. Left? Maria asked. Why would they abandon their homeworld? Kyle continued reading. According to this, they reached a level of technological advancement that allowed them to engineer their bodies. Instead of building technology to protect themselves from the environment, they improved themselves to thrive in it. Eventually, they evolved beyond the need for physical bodies at all. They transcended, Lisa said softly, and left all this behind. Not abandoned, Alan corrected, reading another display. Preserved. This facility is a library, a museum of their journey. They left it for whoever might follow. Lisa's mind raced with possibilities. The Council must know something about this, that's why they've been so desperate to establish a presence here. Should we report what we found? Olivia asked. Lisa thought carefully before answering. We report that we found ruins, but we don't share everything we learn, not yet. The Council didn't send us here because they thought we could succeed. They sent us because we were expendable. If they knew we had access to this technology, Jack began, they'd try to take it from us, Maria finished. Exactly, Lisa said. So we learn what we can first. We understand this technology before we tell them anything about it. Kyle was already downloading data to their secure systems. There's enough information here to advance human technology by centuries and change our position in the galactic community forever, Lisa added. When they reported their discovery to the Council the next day, Lisa was careful to share only basic information. We've found evidence of an ancient civilization, she reported, ruins of some kind of outpost. Secure any artifacts for retrieval, the Council representative ordered immediately. A specialized team will be dispatched. Of course, Lisa agreed, her expression neutral. We'll prepare everything for your arrival. After the transmission ended, the team gathered in the underground complex, which they now used as a secondary base. They're coming to take it all, Kyle said. Lisa nodded. Yes, but not before we understand it. Start with the defense systems. I have a feeling we're going to need them. They sent humans to a Class 0 Deathworld. It didn't go as they expected, Part. 3 months passed before the Galactic Council Emergency Response Team arrived. In that time, the humans had transformed their operation. Their settlement now covered a wide area of the valley, with structures built using both their own technology and what they had learned from the HYF ruins. Lisa watched from the observation deck as the Council ship descended through the turbulent atmosphere. Unlike the violent entry the Horizon had experienced, the alien vessel moved smoothly, protected by advanced shield technology. It was much larger than their own ship, designed to transport a full scientific team and their equipment. They brought a big crew, Maria noted, standing beside Lisa. At least 30 personnel according to our scans. They're expecting to find us barely surviving, ready to hand over everything we've found, Lisa replied. They're in for a surprise. The human settlement no longer resembled a basic outpost. Using the HYF technology, they had created buildings that worked with the planet's conditions rather than against them. Lightning rods captured electrical energy from the constant storms, powering their entire operation. They had gardens growing both earth plants and native vegetation, protected by clear domes that regulated temperature and humidity. Most importantly, they had thoroughly studied the HYF database. Kyle had decoded much of their language and science. Jack had implemented their building techniques. Alan had mapped their biological data, discovering remarkable similarities between HYF and human adaptive capabilities. The council ship landed, half a mile from the human settlement. A delegation of 6 aliens emerged wearing heavy environmental suits. Lisa met them at the edge of the settlement, accompanied by her team. The humans wore light protective clothing but no helmets or breathing apparatus. The lead council representative was a tall, thin being with pale green skin and 4 arms. His environmental suit had extra reinforcement and still he moved with obvious discomfort in the planet's gravity. "Commander Warren," he said through his suit's translator. "I am Delegate Zorix. We are impressed to find you alive." "Welcome to New Terra," Lisa said calmly. "We were beginning to think you'd forgotten about us." The council members looked past her at the settlement. Their body language conveyed shock even through their bulky suits. "This is unexpected," Delegate Zorix said. "You appear to have established more than a basic outpost." "We adapt quickly," Lisa replied. "Would you like to come inside? We can provide atmosphere modification in our conference room if the planet's air is uncomfortable for you." She led them to a circular building near the center of the settlement. Inside, the temperature was pleasant, and the air had been filtered to remove the sulfur compounds that the council species found objectionable. The delegates cautiously removed their helmets after their instruments confirmed it was safe. "You've violated protocol," Delegate Zorix accused once they were seated. "The technology you're using is clearly derived from the ruins you reported. All artifacts should have been secured for council retrieval, not implemented for your use." "Needed to survive," Lisa said simply. "The ruins contained knowledge that helped us do that." "This technology belongs to the council," another delegate insisted. His species had a round body covered in short tentacles, with eyes that rotated independently. "All discoveries on unexplored worlds fall under council jurisdiction." "This technology belongs to whoever built it," Lisa corrected, "and they're gone. We've learned enough to know they weren't eliminated by this planet. They evolved and moved on, just as we're evolving." She activated a display in the center of the table. It showed images of the underground complex and translations of key Nehevi records. "We know the truth now," Lisa continued. "Your council has attempted 17 previous missions to this planet, not to establish outposts but to recover Nehevi technology. All failed because no council species could withstand the conditions long enough." The delegates exchanged uncomfortable glances. "You misunderstand your place," Delegate Zorix said coldly. "Humans are newcomers to galactic society. You should be grateful for our guidance." Alan stepped forward, holding a data crystal. "We've translated enough of their records to know that the Nehevi were the predecessors of the council races." The faux delegates shifted nervously. "That's correct, isn't it?" Lisa pressed. "The Nehevi seeded many worlds, establishing colonies that evolved into the current council species. But over time you engineered yourselves for comfort rather than adaptation. You lost what made your ancestors great." "These are complex historical matters," Delegate Zorix said carefully. "Not relevant to our current situation." "They're entirely relevant," Lisa insisted. "Because the Nehevi left a message for those who would come after them. They hoped their descendants would eventually return to the challenges of their homeworld and reclaim their adaptive strength. Instead, you sent us," Maria added, "because you couldn't do it yourselves." Lisa stood up. "We have a new proposal for the council. Earth will share what we've learned from the Nehevi archives, but as equal partners, not subordinates. We want full membership in the council, with all the rights that entails." "Impossible," one of the delegates sputtered. "Your species has barely achieved interstellar travel, but we've accomplished what 17 of your missions could not," Jack pointed out. "We've not only survived on a Class 0 world, we've thrived." Lisa placed a hand on the table. "The Nehevi left because they had evolved beyond physical form. Their technology allows for the same path, but it requires species with strong adaptive capabilities. Humans have those capabilities. Most council races have engineered them away." "Are you threatening us?" Delegate Zorix asked. "Offering to help you," Lisa corrected. The Nehevi believed adaptation was the key to advancement. They would want their knowledge shared with species that could use it properly. After hours of tense negotiation, the council delegation returned to their ship. They carried with them Lisa's proposal and a small sample of non-critical HYF technology as evidence of the humans' good faith. As the alien ship lifted off, the team gathered on the observation deck again. "Do you think they'll accept our terms?" Kyle asked. "They don't have much choice," Lisa replied. "We control the ruins now, and we've implemented enough of the defense systems to keep unwanted visitors out. What if they try to take it by force?" Maria asked. "They won't," Lisa said confidently. "The council avoids direct conflict whenever possible. Besides, we've only shared a fraction of what we've learned. They want the rest too badly to risk destroying it." Alan looked out at the storm-swept landscape that had become their home. The HYF records say they visited Earth thousands of years ago. They recognized potential in early humans, saw our adaptability. "Maybe that's why they left this archive," Olivia suggested. "They were waiting for us to find them." Jack nodded. According to the records, the HYF believed that adaptation was the foundation of true advancement. Not just technological adaptation, but biological, psychological, spiritual. Lisa watched the council ship vanish into the cloud layers. "They sent humans to a Class 0 Deathworld expecting us to fail or merely survive. Instead, we found our distant relatives and changed humanity's future among the stars." Over the next few months, more human ships arrived. Scientists, engineers, and colonists eager to study the HYF legacy and build a permanent human presence on the planet. The council eventually agreed to most of Lisa's terms, elevating Earth to full member status. On the 1-year anniversary of their landing, Lisa stood on a high ridge overlooking what had grown from their small outpost into a thriving settlement. Lightning flashed overhead, but now the humans saw it as a power source, not a threat. The predators kept their distance, having learned to respect the new apex species in their territory. "They sent humans to a Class 0 Deathworld," Lisa said, softly to herself. "It didn't go as they expected. It went much, much better."